I think I was surprised by the amount of talk about AI. I was always questioning how good is it if somebody doesn't know how to write a formula to do something. Because right now people, I think, just have a total misconception of what it is and how it's supposed to help them.
Yeah. It's so bright in my conservatory, I'm having to wear a hat with a jumper, which probably looks weird. Anyway, Gašper Kamenšek is another awesome Microsoft MVP who spoke at the Global Excel Summit 2024. He talked about Power BI, and in particular, he gave the best answer I've ever seen to the question, why should I use Power BI instead of Excel? By the way, also making the point that it's not Excel versus Power BI. These two tools are like distant cousins in his words. They lean, for the most part, on the same calculation engine. What he focused on was predominantly the sort of enterprise level answer to that question. And it does feel to me like that's where you get the best answer, when you're using Power BI across an organization with lots of different stakeholders needing different things from your data. Now, he focused in on 5 things, and I'm going to have to look at my phone to remind you of these as well as myself. Sharing options, refresh options, different audiences, finished reports, and what he calls AMA, Ask Me Anything. He covered so much in his talk. What I really loved was everything he shared about role level security, and linked to that the way that you can build from one data set. And I think that's the most important part with Power BI. From one data set, you can build unique reports, unique dashboards through the app feature. You can link your reports through to PowerPoint live. You can question and prompt your data live through PowerPoint, linking back to your Power BI reports. You can filter the audiences for these reports using the roles feature, which can link back to your groups if you have a 365 license, which just gives you this incredible amount of flexibility and the most efficient use of your data set, which you do not have to repeat many, many times over. I caught up with Gašper the day before he delivered his talk, which I wish I hadn't in one sense. So we did talk a lot about AI and a little bit about what he was going to talk about the next day. I hope you enjoy this conversation I had with Gašper at the Global Excel Summit 2024. Gašper, hello.
Hey, Giles.
It's very, very nice to meet you in person
Same
after
here.
all these years. But that's kind of been the conversation of the morning, I think, isn't it? Meeting people face to face that you've been chatting to through a computer screen for years and years.
True. Partly due to COVID, partly due to other things, but just meeting like 200 like-minded people that love Excel, that's incredible.
How have you found the morning so far with all the live sessions? Any highlights for you in particular?
I think I was surprised by the amount of talk about AI. I think that took me by surprise. Of course, if I checked the schedule, I would have known. But I thought that was going to be less of an emphasis. But then again, I know that sessions that are coming will probably not emphasize it as much.
Yeah.
But to me, that was kind of shocking.
Yeah, it feels like there's a really interesting sub-conversation that I'm hearing a lot of people have, which is you come out of a talk from Jack at Microsoft Research or Layla, and it's like, wow, this is really cool. And then everybody in the kind of real world of doing work goes, oh, but how many people are going to be using this now in 6 months, in a year's time? I don't know if you share that thought. It feels so cutting edge and people are so far behind.
Well, true. Although, ever since like flash fill came into Excel, I was always questioning how good is it if somebody doesn't know how to write a formula to do something, to have Excel do it for them, and will they be able to check the results? Now with simple flash fill, it's pretty much easy to do that, right? But with stuff that we're getting into now, and even just analyze data, I'm thinking that could be, there's a conversation to be had there. And I mostly think there's also a misconception about AI there's so much emphasis on if it gives you a wrong result. But that's because it's machine learning.
Yeah.
it's learning, and that's how it's learning.
Yeah.
It's actually natural for it to do so. And I think there's a misconception or a misunderstanding of how this AI tools are supposed to work, because people expect them to be this perfect, mini assistants that they can just ask for help and they'll get perfect help. But in a sense, and we've had this conversation once, I said it's frightening how it's doing the same mistakes I would do, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you must treat it as such. You must not treat it as a perfect entity, and you must know why. And I think then the fear should be gone. Because right now people, I think, just have a total misconception of what it is and how it's supposed to help them.
Yeah. Well, I think Alan Murray just made a really good point. It's as bad as it's ever going to be right now. So
True, because it's machine learning.
Yeah.
True, exactly.
Yeah.
And with the amount of, data that's being fed into it,
Yeah.
and the amount of sort of evaluation of its results that it's getting getting it's getting better very, very fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you understand that, you should be very, very happy.
Awesome.
Right.
It's really interesting. You're speaking, aren't you? Or have you've
Yeah.
done it? Yeah. Is that tomorrow?
I have a session tomorrow. It will be things about Power BI that Excel people should know.
Great.
Right? So not taking it as a totally different tool, because it's really not. It's Power Query, Power Pivot, things from Excel built into a different platform. But then realizing what it does, I'm not going to say better, but differently, and how you can make use of that.
Amazing.
Right?
I'm really looking forward to that session personally. We've had lots of chats about this. Who's using Power BI, Power Query in Power BI, Power Query in Excel, the data model. Why do you use one and not the other? When do you
and
use
how to
both?
decide.
Yeah.
And it's not always a black and white, kind of scenario. It's I can use this, and I know this will be slightly better, but then this will be slightly off, or the other way around, right?
Awesome. Well, I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you enjoy the rest of the summit. And again, really good
you
to.
do too.
Yeah, it'll be great. Thanks, Gašper.